The airstrip is located adjacent to the Schafer Work Center Ranger Station in the Great Bear Wilderness. The station consists of a bunkhouse, a combination office kitchen warehouse, here you can see the office again, the tool shed, the ranger's house, as well as barns, corrals, and blacksmith shop out back. The airstrip is located in the Great Bear Wilderness. It's the only airstrip in Montana inside of designated wilderness that is open to the public. Congress specifically allowed the airstrip to remain open when the wilderness was designated in 1978. Since that time, there's been minimal maintenance to the airstrip, and the primary touchdown zones have been severely worn down. The purpose of this project is to develop a secondary landing touchdown zone adjacent to the existing runway. It's a project that will take several years. During the week-long project, the airstrip was closed to all use by placing large yellow X's at each end of the runway. Volunteer pilots flew in all of the mules' harnesses and other gear needed to hitch them to the various implements that would be used in the project. Several old pieces of equipment that had been at the station for years were brought out of retirement and refurbished to work on the project. They had not been used in over 40 years. They included a homemade roller that was refurbished in 2019 by volunteer Flint. And an Adams leaning wheel road grader. Red was also responsible for making the old grader functional again. The grader had been modified in the past to be pulled by a tractor, so here the team is moving it away from the fence so a new tongue could be installed. A new tongue had been ordered but did not arrive on schedule, so a replacement was crafted from local lodgepole. The final piece of equipment needed for the project was a box grader. It was built by Jim Flint, Spotted Bear Ranger District Fire Management Officer, in his shop in the winter of 2019 and 20. The grader was disassembled, flown into Schafer on a Forest Service Twin Otter, where it was reassembled by one of the fire crew. Once it was reassembled, all the multiple blades on the grader had to be adjusted in such a manner that it would do the required work and yet not be too much for the mules to pull. Once the harrow teeth and blades were all adjusted, it was time to lay the grader down and get ready to go to work. They're ready for the first dry run, hitching the mules up in a 3-up hitch. There was some question about how the mules would react to the grader and how the grader would operate, but everything went very smoothly. The grader worked as expected, and the mules performed their job without a hitch. With the test run over and after a short break, it's time to hitch up again and start with the real work. I'm bringing the team up now. Guy Zollner is the teamster. Jeremy Rust and Colin Malone are on the trip lines, which serve as emergency brakes should there be a runaway. There's a running W on the outside mules that runs from their front legs down to the back to the trip line operators. In the case of a runaway, they could dump the two outside mules on their nose and put things to a stop. And fortunately, that never happened. The mules behaved like they'd been doing it all their lives. It took multiple passes with the box grader to level out start to level the new landing zones. As you can see, the ground was extremely dry. This was in August, and it was a dusty job for man and beast. The airstrip is 3,500 feet long. It would take the team about 15 to 20 minutes to make a complete round trip, including a turnaround at the far end. After several passes, the box grader would be tipped up, the packed grass cleaned out from underneath, and the blades readjusted to make a slightly deeper cut. After a couple of passes with the box grader, you could see the new landing zone beginning to take shape. After the box grader work was done, it's time to hitch up the Adams leaning wheel grader. See Guy bringing the team into position. Stepping them over the new tongue. And then backing them into position. Lifting the tongue up and going to hook up the neck yoke. With the grader, they're just using the classic two-up team. Now they're hooking up the traces to the single trees, talking about modifying the hitch arrangement for next year so they can actually use a three-up with the grader. We did try to be safety conscious. You can see we've got a seatbelt tied on guy, but he decided he'd rather take his chances if they had to run away and discarded the seatbelt. I'm bringing the team around into position. You can see the grader bit is up in the air. They're going to adjust that now. The manual pivot to pivot the blade in the direction you want. Then you can see guy up top adjusting with those big wheels. That raises and lowers the blade and sets the angle of the blade. Then we got guy driving. This time Colin is working the blade, bringing it down. Jeremy's running the emergency brakes again. After a week's worth of work, you can see the new landing zone beginning to take shape. It's going to take at least another year or two before it's ready to use, and this project will continue next year.